This will be a short introduction to Sass. So what is Sass? Sass is a language that compiles to regular CSS. Using Sass, you can perform a lot of operations that are not supported in CSS but are available in other programming languages. For example, you can use variables, for loops. There's a bunch of built-in functions. You can even define your own mix-ins, which act like functions. Sass always compiles to regular CSS. The Sass language is not usable in the browser directly, so you can't use your Sass files, in a project, but you can compile them to regular CSS and use them in a project. Why use Sass? Well, it makes it easier to create complex style sheets. It keeps your code dry. So dry is don't repeat yourself. So a lot of times you find yourself writing the same thing over and over again with small changes. You can use loops or other systems in Sass to make your code more dry, shorter. Sass is also an industry standard tool. You might see this a lot of times in programming jobs. Let's talk about it for a minute. So here I am at the Sass website, and they kind of build themselves as CSS with superpowers, which is pretty reasonable. The first thing you'll need to do is install a tool to use Sass. And there's a couple tools you can use. You can get a desktop application like CodeKit, Compass, or I like Koala. It's like a small, simple app. The other thing you can do is you can install a command line tool. I'm going to follow that here. You can pick any of these routes and it will work. I'm just going to cover using the command line tool. So the first thing you're going to do is you'll want to use Npm Install -G Sass. You can follow these options here if you're using some of these other tools like Brew or Chocolatey Package Manager. Okay, I'm going to use Npm. So I'll go to Npm and I'm going to open up my terminal here. And I've copied the Npm command and I'll paste it here. And I'll run it. And it'll install Sass. I actually had to do a sudo install, right? And you may have to do that too, depends on your system, right? Once Sass is installed, you can check the version of Sass with Sass-V, and it'll tell you I have Sass 3.55, right? And the next step now is to use Sass. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our project here. So I've started with a project here, and I'll post a link to a demo project that you can use to begin with that looks just like this one, right? It'll be in the comments, and you can download that from GitHub and use it. My project has two files here. One is style.scss. This is where I'll write my Sass code. And the other file is style.css, and this is where I will compile the SCSS code into regular CSS. In my index HTML page, I'm linking to the style.css file here. So I'm not actually using the SCSS file, right? I'm just using the CSS file. Regular Sass is not usable in the browser, okay? Or regular, Sass language is not understood by the browser, right? So we're just going to write everything in Sass and then compile it to CSS, and those files are what we'll use in the browser. So let's get started. So the next thing we need to do is I have my project in this folder here, and what we need to do is we need to point our terminal to the folder. So I'm gonna do it this way. I'm going to type cd, and then this means change directory. And then I'll drag this folder into here, and it'll give me a path to the directory where I'm working. I'll hit return. And then what we'll want to do is we'll want to say Sass. Actually, let me go find this here, and I'll show you where to get this. Go to Learning Sass on their website, and they'll give you a couple ways to compile Sass. I'm going to follow the second one. So we'll say Sass -- watch, and then you'll give it a path to a style sheet, and then you'll say colon a path to an output file. Okay, so I'm working with my input file, which is style.scss, and my output file is style.css. So I'll say -- watch, and then I'll say style.scss colon the output file is style.css. And then Sass says, hey, I'm watching for changes. So what'll happen is every time you make a change to the watched file, it will compile everything in here and rewrite the code in style CSS. So we shouldn't write anything in style CSS. You can, the CSS language is 100% compatible with Sass, so you can usually start by just changing the name of your original style sheet to SCSS, and then all the code there is good to go, right? So what can you do? And actually, if you notice, I'll make a quick change there and save, and now you can see Sass says that it rewrote this, and I have my environment set up so it's going to refresh the browser too every time I make a change here. So if I save this, you can see that my animation runs again, and then it says it rewrote everything, right? Okay, so what can you do with Sass? Let's talk about a couple things. So first of all, you can make variables. So a lot of times you find yourself reusing the same number throughout your code, but then you have to actually, if you want to make a change, I'd have to go find all these numbers and change them, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a variable. Variables in Sass always begin with the $sign. And then you can set them like properties that you set in CSS. So we use the colon, and then we follow it with a number. So I'm using this number of 200 pixels a couple times. So I'm just going to make a number, a variable called size that contains the number 200 pixels, right? And then I can replace these values with that number, right? And I could if I had 200 pixels anywhere in here, I could use it again, right? If we look at this now, the code that I wrote here gets compiled into this file, style.css, and when I look here, you can see the variable doesn't exist, but the value here is 200, right? So if I was to change this to 220, now the box gets a little bigger here, and when I go to my style sheet, you can see these values are 220, okay? So let's make a couple more variables, right? This is a challenge for you. You should go through here and make as many variables as you can with the sample code. Just think of all the different places you can use a variable, okay? So for example, like this border width right here, I'm using it in a couple places. So maybe I'll make it I'll call it like border size, so it doesn't confuse with the border width property in CSS, right? And I'll set that to 1 pixel. And maybe I'll use this variable here. So anywhere you have a value, you can replace it with a variable. I could use it here also. And now it's easy for me to make changes to my code. So I can change that back to 200. I can make the border width 3 pixels. And now I have a 3 pixel border here, right? So that's one of the advantages of Sass. Like, we can make variables. We can use those variables to keep our code dry. So if we have elements where we're repeating, we can put the variable in that place and then change it in one location. Let's see, what else do we have here that we can work with, right? You should go through and find all the places where you can use variables, right? Let's try another idea here. On this div here that represents the petals in the lotus, I have a width of 120 pixels and 120 pixels. Maybe, to keep the petals relative to the size of the box here, what I could do is I could say 120 is about 60%. What is it? I think it's 60%. Let's do 120 divided by 200. Yeah, so it's like 60% of size, right? So I could put size here times 0.6, right? So Sass also lets us use math operators within our code. So we can use the plus, minus, multiply, divide, right? And that way we can calculate values, right, and have them calculated from variables. So, for example, if I change the value here to 240, now the petals will be relative size, right, to the size of the box. They're off center because I'll need to also set the left and top based on my numbers too. I'll leave that as a problem for you to solve. But anyway, this should get you started with Sass. So the first step is to use some variables. So variables always begin with a $sign, and then you assign a value to them following the colon. The value here can be anything you want. So if I had, petals is 5, because I have 5 petals, right? I can just put a number 5 there, and I could use this 5 later on in my code. Okay, so it can be any value. You can assign it. If I was using a font here, I could say font. Let's do font stack is Helvetica, Arial, or whatever, right? Oops, misspelled that one. Arial, Roboto. Oh, I misspelled Helvetica too. Wait, there. Okay, there we go. So you can also put any valid value in CSS can also be a value for a variable in Sass. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll go over some more things in the next video.